Hello, and welcome to another episode of Collection Lock. Wait, this isn't classic? What the To start off with, I decided to wrap up my remaining quests and achievements I had for the Feast of Wintervale. And I'm glad I did, because I got the cutest little raptor ever! Jingles! I then got to work on the Holiday Bromance achievement, which involves kissing various brothers using mistletoe. This was bugged for a little while and you couldn't actually use the mistletoe indoors, but thankfully it was also fixed pretty quickly, and finding the brothers is super easy to do. So after that, I decided to get my classic cooking up to level 300 so that I could make the hot apple cider recipe for the Wintervale Gourmet. As I'm not using the auction house and I was already at level 291, I decided the best way to get my cooking leveled up was to grab the quest Desert Recipe from Calandra in Silithus. This quest chain teaches me how to use sandworm meat to make smoked desert dumplings, and also gives me a quest that involves making 10 of them. I thought this was literally perfect. I only needed 9 to get to level 300, but if I made 10, I would also be able to get another quest done at the same time. So I gathered up some sandworm meat and quickly got to work on cooking up some oddly wormy dumplings. I then headed back to Ironforge to purchase some sparkling apple cider and holiday spirits to combine with my leftover holiday spices. And there we have it, another achievement completed. After that, I set my sights on the Let It Snow achievement, which involves me throwing a handful of snowflakes over various class race combinations. I'll be honest, I hate achievements like this, because these are so much harder to complete than when they were first implemented. Many people don't actually play base races anymore. I mean, why be a regular fell green orc when you can be a super cool Mag'har orc? And why be a Draenei when you can be a light Draenei? Don't get me started on that one. Aside from the fact that Lightforged Draenei should have obviously been an extra customization, the implementation of allied races makes it much harder to find the races I need to complete this achievement. That said, big props to Battlelord Wolfheart, who literally just stood right next to me. It was like he was waiting for a snow day. And of course, I had the help of the ever-wonderful Artemis, who helped me out by creating a bunch of characters using class trials, and allowing me to douse her in snowflakes. I didn't manage to get through all the characters as we ran out of time, but at least I only need to find a Troll Hunter and Blood Elf Warlock next year. I mean, how hard can that be? There's going to be Blood Elves everywhere. Midnight is literally the elf expansion. Unfortunately, I'm not great at PvP, and I did leave a lot of this until the last minute, so the PvP-based achievements will have to wait until next December. After obtaining both legendaries in the last episode, I decided to go back to basics. Yep, I'm going back to questing. So as I said I would several months ago, I'm headed to Stranglethorn Vale to continue my quest for Loremaster. But that doesn't mean I'm done with my Molten Core runs. I still have a bunch of things to get. For example, I need Toledo to be exalted with the Hydraxian Waterlords, and oh, I did it. Well, I also need the Shaman-only illusion Flame Tongue. Huh. That was easy. Well, I'll still be running Molten Core for various engineering recipes too, but around my regular collector runs, which happens every Saturday at 4 PM EU server time, I'm questing. Whilst we're on the topic of collector runs, can I quickly introduce you to a new add-on? This is Transmog Loot Helper. When you're doing transmog runs with friends, it will tell you when someone else has picked up an appearance you can use, whilst filtering out any appearance that you no longer need. When you see an appearance you want, you can quickly and easily whisper the individual by simply alt-clicking on the item. It also has separate modes for those looking for source IDs and those that are only bothered about the actual appearances. And it displays a handy dandy checkmark when your friend has learnt an appearance, so you don't need to worry about bothering them unnecessarily. It also adds some really nice icons, like these ones next to my blacksmithing recipes, making it really clear when there's a new transmog to be gained. Speaking of blacksmithing, I did remember to pick up the 2 blacksmithing recipes in Blackrock Depths, meaning I now have learned all the blacksmithing recipes from Blackrock Depths. Oh, and you know how I was going to stick to classic as much as possible? I did do something very much not classic. I was actually presented with the opportunity to earn Ahead of the Curve Mana Forge Omega and earn the Royal Voidwing mount. Yes, the amazing Dungeon Dojo doesn't normally offer carries. Instead, this incredibly respectful and supportive community normally helps new and returning players get involved with various forms of gameplay, from collecting to Mythic Plus and raiding. But as the expansion approached its end, they decided to help as many people as possible get ahead of the curve. And you know what? They were truly incredible. See, it turns out I had forgotten that in order to enter Maniforge Omega and participate in the Demencius fight, I needed the Reshi Rat. So about an hour before the raid commenced, I ran around like a headless chicken, trying to complete not only the Rescue Rats questline, but also the actual War Within introductory questline, which I also hadn't done. It was very stressful, but thankfully my incredible friend and co-sensei of the Dungeon Dojo, Marty, was there to reassure me, despite being very busy literally offering a save to the Dungeon Dojo itself. With the launch of Midnight Pre-Patch on January 20th, or 21st for us EU folk, we also saw the end of Legion Remix. Honestly, this one was a mad dash for me, but I did manage to get all of my characters leveled up to 80, thanks to Artemis, Daphne and Danny, amongst many others who did a heck of a lot of boosting for both me and my community. This wonderful trio also helped me with many other Remix activities, including Mythic Plus keys and almost every portal. By the end of Legion Remix, I was only missing the Dark Heart Thicket portal, and since I already have the Blackrock Hold portal, which is in the same zone, I figured it's not the end of the world. They also helped me get my final Deathless achievement for Trial of Valor, meaning I now have all of the Deathless transmog sets. I also did my bit by helping a whole bunch of people get some particularly hard to solo Legion raid achievements. And by did my bit, I mean I organised the groups and let my fellow Dungeon Dojo sensei Meraxis do all the explaining whilst I played Peggle for the very first time. I'm genuinely obsessed with this game. I was tempted to make this video into just like one long Peggle video, but then I decided, nah, better not. Anyways, to preempt some questions a little bit, yes, I did spend a lot of bronze. No, I did not get all the bronze I needed. In the end, I prioritised mounts along with toys and pets that would be hard to get. I also tried to get every exclusive item, but I did miss a couple of the achievement-related exclusives like the Dusky Tooth Felsnooter. I also didn't manage to buy any decor, though I did unlock a fair few pieces through various achievements. Honestly though, I can't be upset about the progress. All this AFKing in raids and dungeons whilst my friends carried me to victory got me to over 7% completed overall. Unfortunately, Midnight Pre-Patch did knock me back down to 6.17%, but who's complaining when there's so much new content to explore? It's at times like this when I realise I am never completing this game. But the challenge must prevail! So over the last few days of the month, I tried to bump my ATT score back up, starting with housing. I love player housing so much, and chat let me know about some decor in Ironforge that will be relatively easy to get. There are some pieces that I won't be able to get yet because they are locked behind certain achievements. And don't worry, I did do the pre-patch event as well. I got the 2 minutes to midnight achievement by killing every rare in the area. And I played tic-tac-toe. The Twilight's Blade stratagem game. I haven't bought all the vendor items yet, but I'm sure I'll manage all that before pre-patch 2. After that, I moved on to Stranglethorn questing. I mentioned this a little bit earlier, I do still need to get my Lawmaster achievements, so this is like something that I really need to do. To be honest, it didn't take very long either. The hardest part was the Raptor quest. You know the one. It's a real pain. But anyways, after finishing up Stranglethorn Vale, I obviously headed to the Cape of Stranglethorn. But when I got to the Explorers League dig site, I ran into a little issue. I realised that I was locking myself out of the Heroes Call breadcrumb quests. For those that don't know, breadcrumb quests are optional quests that can help you start new quest lines. Once you've started the quest line, they become entirely unavailable. The Heroes Call quests come from the Heroes Call board in capital cities, so I headed to Stormwind to try and find the Heroes Call the Cape of Stranglethorn quest. Unfortunately, this didn't end well for me. The Heroes Call board only shows 3 quests at a time, and to make matters worse, they are completely random. So I spent several minutes picking up every quest, and then I gave up. I figured I can just pick up all the Heroes Call quests on 2 characters. Why 2, you ask? Excellent question. Well, it's no good just doing this on an Alliance character, because there will still be all the Horde quests as well. So I need a character of each faction. Anyways, after coming to the conclusion that Heroes Call boards are stupid, I headed back to the Cape of Stranglethorn to continue my questing journey. Once that was done, I headed to Kalimdor to start Dustwaller Marsh, which also didn't take long to complete and led me straight on to Thousand Needles. I hate Thousand Needles, like more than I hate Red Ridge Mountains, purely because of the water. I think the quests are fun, I like my little boat, but being surrounded by water all the time sucks. Thankfully, this zone is super quick to complete, and I was able to move on to Tanaris, which holds the wonderful Caverns of Time. At some point I'll have to make sure I do the dungeons. I completed the Westfall quest ages ago, but the Deadmines is still yet to be touched. And during my questing journey, as you know, I obviously continued my regular weekly raids. Because Molten Core is mostly complete, I've actually also started throwing both versions of Anchorage back into the mix again. I'll need to complete this on every class to make sure I get every weapon and armor appearance from the class specific quests. Speaking of raids, I finally got the Orb of Deception toy from Blackwing Lair. This ridiculously rare toy changes you into a member of the opposite faction and has a less than 1% drop chance from Nefarian. Yep, I am incredibly lucky. And that brings us to the end of another wonderful episode of Collection Lock. After the pre-patch, I finally made it up to 6.68% completed. It's not quite the 7% that I achieved earlier in the month, but it's a whole lot of progress. Fingers crossed I can get back up to 7% before midnight hits. Thank you so much for all your love and support, and happy collecting!